Welcome back, and thanks for helping me continue to live out my Oscar shame. I've been using the days leading up to the Oscar nominations to highlight some previous Oscar nominees that I'd actually never seen before. I think some of them probably wouldn't surprise you, but maybe some of them will. Um, some of them were before I was born. This was not, although would have been weird audience choice for me based on the age that I was. I suppose my mom could have dragged me to it. It sat me in the theater and I could have fallen asleep, but I didn't. And then I just never caught up on it. It's Steel Magnolias, and this is on AMC Plus, which means guess what? It doesn't have audio description. Um, this is also a play, so this is a movie that's based on a play, so it's possible that you have the opportunity locally to see a production of this done. I've seen it done locally a couple of times. Not me, like actually going. I mean, I've seen people doing it. Like it seems to be fairly popular. So if you have a theater in your area, maybe that's how you'll catch Steel Magnolias if you haven't already seen it. It's got a stacked cast. It just does. It's got Shirley MacLaine, who I realized the last film I just did for you was Terms of Endearment. This is not intentional. I didn't go out and search another Shirley MacLaine movie. And kind of a little bit too on the nose casting for her, considering what happens in this film. I don't know, did she seek this out? Or did she read the script and go, I just need to make sure of something? And she flips to the end and she's like, yes, I will do this film. This is for me. If I was her daughter, I'd be very concerned. Anyway, Olivia Dukakis is also in this. Dolly Parton, Sally Field, Daryl Hannah, and of course, Academy Award nominee Julia Roberts, for which this film qualifies. There are also boys in this too. There's Sam Shepard, there's Dylan McDermott. So they managed to get a couple guys up in here. It's not, it doesn't really focus on the guys, but they're there. They roam in the background. And it's about this group of women who are basically like lifelong friends. A new one moves to town and just immediately is sort of like welcomed into the fold at this beautician parlor beauty shop. And all of the stories and the gabbing that goes on there and the talking and the chitter chatter. It's amazing what they can make a movie out of. By the way, it's amazing what you can make a movie out of if you have Dolly Parton in it. She's fantastic in this. She's so natural on screen. She never feels like she's acting. There's something about both Shirley MacLaine's and Olivia Dukakis' performances here that both feel like they were included as actors to elevate the film. In many ways, it feels like this is Dolly's film and everybody else should have just accepted it and just let her be, and then built it around her, and then the story with Sally and Julia can just sort of happen organically, vicariously through her. She's so charming in this film. She's charming pretty much anytime you put her in anything, which is why I actually really love her as an actress. She's always upbeat. She just has a way of being able to deliver her lines, and I don't know, just the right way. She manages to marry her natural personality with her screen presence in ways that actually make her interesting, instead of like, oh no, she can't act. It's like, wow, really love the way she did that. It makes it seem like it's like just natural character choices, but there's so much of her in the role. It's very interesting. Whereas Shirley and Olympia both feel like they're acting very hard in this film, trying to lots of acting. I don't know, they just feel like they're trying to elevate the film somehow. Like somebody felt like the film was becoming a little too mainstream and they're like, we need better actors. Where are they? Bring me Shirley MacLaine and Olympia Dukakis. But that's not to say that the rest of the cast doesn't do a good job. I've never been a massive fan of Daryl Hannah. I think this is one of her better roles, playing sort of I don't know, like an aloof wife who just finds religion. I actually enjoyed her little speech. She has a speech in her house when she's trying to, like, between her and her husband, is trying to balance the life of the fact that her husband doesn't want to go to church, and she clearly does. And then you have the whole story with Sally Field and Julia Roberts, which is basically really what anchors Steel Magnolias. Julia Roberts is the anchor of the whole movie, because she ends up being the focus and the target of everything anybody would remember about Steel Magnolias. Sally Field has somewhat of a muted performance until she needs to have one. And when she does break out, it's your Sally Field breakouts. It's fantastic. And it's great. And I actually thought Julia Roberts was really nice in this role. And it's great that she was able to establish herself as an award-worthy actress early in her career, and not so much later. Like Sandra Bullock's nomination. By the time we nominated Sandra Bullock, we're just like, just give her the Oscar for the Blind Side. We're just like, just give it to her. I mean, sometimes it's just so late by the time we recognize somebody that we're just like, oh my God, I can't believe we waited this long to just give it. Michelle Yeoh. You just go through the career and you're like, oh, how have we missed you? And sometimes that creates that flow where it's like, maybe we'll never nominate you again, but your body of work is for some reason really impressive, yet we seem to have never recognized it before. But Julia ended up slowly getting nominations and then eventually winning for Erin Brockovich. So worked out for her. But she did get this early nomination. So for all of those 90s films, she was always Academy Award nominee Julia Roberts in Conspiracy Theory and The Pelican Brief. Whatever it was, it helped elevate the project. So good for her. I agree with the nomination. I need to see more films. This is a problem with me, like, definitively saying, like, who else I think should be nominated for this. But I need to watch more films, and I would have loved to watch this with audio description. However, it's a lot of dialogue. It's a lot. This is a play, so this is obviously made to be done in places. I've seen it be done locally in venues that I know don't have the ability to do massive set changes. So I assume the original play doesn't do a lot. Because I know the venue and I know the venue's capabilities, and they just don't have, a lot of space to, like, move in a new set. Be like, we're at home now, so we rolled in the home set. It's like, no, they probably just changed a prop, maybe brought in a table. This is not really a set heavy. Obviously for Steel Magnolias, they make it more cinematic, because that's the whole point of going to a movie in the first place. But there's some things, like, even if you've ever seen Death of a Salesman, it's really just so much cinematic you can bring to that. But it's still good because we can have, people's reactions, their facial expressions. A lot of people act without using words. I don't know if you know this, but they use our physical body to sometimes convey emotions. And a lot of times we get that in audio description. So there's a lot of benefit here. It's just, I also recognize that this film has a substantial amount of dialogue, and it's often rapid fire. So it'd be really hard to put too much audio description in this film without talking on top of these actresses. So I would assume even the audio description that exists, which there might be audio description that exists, it's AMC Plus. So they could have every film on their service could actually have an audio description track, and you wouldn't know it because they just wouldn't upload it. They'd be like, Anyway, so yeah, it's I I'm still not grading it, but there's a part of me that wants to say I could, because of the substantial amount of dialogue and realistically what I would expect from the narration now having seen the project. Like if this was presented to me and then they're like, what do we think it can do with the audio description? I would highlight maybe a couple scenes where there's like a transition, but this film has really shitty transitions. That's probably one of its weakest. Is it literally just we're in a new place? I mean, it almost feels like this version that AMC Plus is running is like was made for TV, like with commercial breaks put in because they're so like cut and dry. This has, I would never nominate this for best editing. You know, this is, it's sometimes the editing is just like, well, we're in the next scene. Just, it doesn't feel, there's no like segue, there's no blend, there's no, it actually kind of even feels like you can hear the scene changing, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know if it does, but almost like the person in the projector room accidentally took out a couple extra uh, little things of film, cut a little bit out. Sometimes it happens. I used to be a projectionist, and if the film ever got messed up and we had to cut out a section of the film, I always wonder what it did. Luckily, it's going by at rates per second, but yeah, I'm gonna say that a couple times throughout history, I've seen, you know, a little bit of film get thrown away because it burned or it got wrapped up when the brain caused a brain wrap when the static or whatever, it didn't move the film through. Anyway, these are all projectionist things. One person will ever get that, and he's probably not going to watch my video. But yeah, I've seen cuts of film, and I kind of felt like maybe that's what was happening. It's very weird. And this is coming from a blind person. I shouldn't be able to hear the edits or notice them, really, the transitions from scene to scene. But a couple times I was like, that was uncomfortable. So I don't know. Yeah, so we don't really have a whole lot of establishing shots to necessarily build off of, to be able to give you like we move into a hospital and with yellow walls and bright pink flowers and you know, there's nothing. Sometimes we just move into the next scene and somebody just starts talking and we're just somewhere else, you know. So the audio description would be like, we move to Julie's house. You know, just it would be so quick, you have to throw it in. And I don't know. So, but I'm still holding AMC Plus accountable for just a general lack of accessibility, just because this one is kind of getting a pass for me, because structurally I can't imagine what the audio description track to this would necessarily offer. But without knowing that, I can't really tell. It's one of those questions I'd love to answer and then come back to you on it, you know? Because I don't know that there's that much audio description that could be here, is what I'm trying to say. The performance is lovely. I enjoyed this movie more than I think I should have. I'm glad I finally came around to this. If I'm being honest, I enjoyed this more than Terms of Endearment, which is very similar. But one of those films got 11 Oscar nominations and this one just got 1. So, you know, one of those films is a Best Picture winner. I don't think I'm supposed to know to believe that I enjoyed Steel Magnolias more than the other film. Is it a little soapy at times? Sure. But I felt like Terms of Endearment just had such an odd dynamic between Shirley MacLaine and Jack Nicholson, and Shirley's character was so weird. I just didn't know what to do with it. I think they're stronger James L. Brooks films. Maybe in 1983, if I'd been back there, I was, but baby. And maybe I would have like understood like of the moment and been like, wow, thank God Terms of Endearment came around this year. But going back and watching the two of them, if I had to watch another one of them again, I would choose Steel Magnolias. since neither one of them did I watch with audio description on their respective services, the film that I'm more interested in watching a second time would be Steel Magnolias. Anyway, I'm leaning towards the fact that Dolly Parton probably should have gotten an Oscar nomination for this, but that's just because I love Dolly and I thought she was delightful here. I don't know that it's necessarily a deep performance. It's just a really good one. You know, she just is good. There's nothing really much more to say about that. She didn't really have a deep acting career full of tons of rich performances. So, but I'm glad she did this film because I think she lifts it up. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna give Steel Magnolias a sort of unwatchable, unwatchable with a question mark, because this is this is as close to grading this as possible. Listen, I'll give you the choice. If you're here and you're blind, do I believe this should have audio description? Absolutely. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. If you asked me, seriously, John, am I going to be able to follow this film without audio description? I'd be like, yeah, you are. It's dialogue. Everything is in the dialogue except for like a couple of moments when they hint at something that comes on down the line. It's going to happen anyway. You know, I mean, you just would miss some of the hints to what's coming on down the line. So, yeah, there's a couple of things I wish were described, which make it sort of like, damn, but you can kind of tell what's happening because the ladies always react to it. It's just while it's happening, I wish we had audio description. So that's why I'm not grading it. And do I think you'll probably be fine? Probably. But that's a choice that you're going to have to make on yourself. This is so borderline. I'm admitting that myself. I don't set out to just be an asshole all the time to films. This is borderline. It needs a smattering of audio description, whatever it can fit in here when the ladies are not talking. And we'll just get locked in. So check out Steel Magnolias if you can find audio description for it, or if you're one of my cited fans and you can see it, then go for it. I liked it. I'm guessing it's in the A range for me. But I would want audio description to like land that. You know, there's a difference between an A and an A minus for me. So, what is it? I feel like the audio description would help answer those questions, or I could be just completely wrong and maybe it slides down to a B plus or a B. So who knows? But I enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please click that subscribe button so I can continue to talk about the lack of accessibility across these streaming services. And I have a website, magthemovieguy.com. You can go to you can go to X, Threads, or Instagram. I keep starting to call it Twitter, and I'm like, what's it called? The artist formerly known as X. I get there eventually. I'm Mac the Movie Guy. The audio description project, adp.acb.org, and the adna.org, that's the adna.org, will let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. Anyway, that's it. I will review something else and see you guys on the other side.